Hello, Tracy. Let me invite Leslie and Dr. Ash and Margaret, Miriana. Hello, Leslie. We are running without cameras. I will switch my off in a minute because we are saving the data flow. But also with people. So I do switch it off. Nice to see you, Charito. Nice to see you all. And I hope you are all in already. And we will start now. I would like to welcome you, everyone, to the next Power of Touch. And I'm happy I would like to ask you, I am happy to see you, Pet, but we are running without cameras to save the data flow. So, welcome here. I am with Usi, and welcome here to the next Power of Touch event. And today's term is humble, a term which we never had before, and I hope it will be same interesting as any other Power of Touch. And because all of you already has been to the Power of Touch, I will start to ask you the first question. I will start with Leslie. Leslie, if you hear the term humble, what came first to your mind if you close your eyes?
Humble, something that I've always aspired to be, but not always was. That it's the opposite of prideful. And I think that we all have a bit of it in us, maybe on a sliding scale. But for me, my aspiration has always been over the decades to move as close as I can to being humble as often as possible. How's that?
Thank you very much for that. And Charito, you are next. If you hear the term humble, what came first to your mind, please?
Can you hear me, Michael?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Well, humble, it's a quality of a person, actually. If a person does not speak, does not pull up his own weight, he's meek, he's self-deprecating in that sense. He's not, hold on, I have a problem with my phone. Anyway, a humble person does not speak in front of other people or say something more than the others. She's self-deprecating. He's meek. He's not expressive. He does not express everything about him, but he's modest. I should say a humble person is modest, and he's opposite of the one who brags, who is boastful. That's being humble. If you are not boastful, you present yourself in such a way that others would feel that actually it's not dishonesty, but you don't bring yourself as somebody higher than anybody in the group or anybody in any place. You're humble about yourself, your origin, or everything. That's for me as far as I'm this afternoon. Back to you, Michael.
Thank you very much. Pat, I am so happy to have you here. I hope you feel better already. And the same question for you, of course. If you close your eyes and you hear the term humble, what came first to your mind, please?
Something that's been present for me, I think, the last 15 or 20 years is, our growing awareness of emotional intelligence helps us identify the humble person. And I think people who are humble actually have a high level of emotional intelligence because they have a high capacity to know how they're making others feel. So they They seem to be strongly empathic, raise the spirits of others, and humble people actually make a great leader. And I think as others have been saying, it's the absence of arrogance that lets us see the humble nature. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Miriana, you are the next one, and I'm really happy that you can join. The same question for you, Miriana. If you hear the term humble, what came first to your mind, please?
Hello, everybody. Term humble for me depends on the background of that characteristic of human being. In some cases, it is good, and in some cases, it is bad. In good environment, these are people who provoke others to give the best, to be real leaders, to express the best characteristics of people. But in bad environment, it is kind of protection, these people, like Miss Pat explained, have empathy, understanding, and experience that can do that can bring big things. That is what I think when you say the word humble. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much, Miriana. Tracy, you are the next one. The same for you. If you close your eyes, which is easy because it's night with you, but if you hear the term humble, what came first to your mind, please?
Good morning, everyone. Humble. This word was never part of my vocabulary until very recently. I was educated to be modest, but I know modesty is the manner, but being humble and humility is from within. It has a lot to do with respect for others, social ranking, putting other people first before oneself, or at least at the same level, and also patience with other individuals, not jump into the conclusion, is totally the opposite of arrogance. And I think there's a deeper meaning in humility, is being truly noble is actually part of the humility as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And Margaret, same question for you. I'm so happy to see you here. If you close your eyes and you hear the term humble, what came first to your mind, please?
Gratitude. Gratitude. That's it. That's always been it, is gratitude. Gratitude is what keeps me humble. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Usi, happy to have you here. The same question for you. If you close your eyes and you hear the term humble, what came first to your mind, please?
Hello, everyone. Being humble means being kind, respectful, and not thinking you are better than others. It is about listening, helping, and appreciating life without showing off. Humble means recognize your strengths without boasting and respecting others equally. It helps build a good relationship, encourage learning, and keep a personal open to grow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yussi. Dr. Ash, you are the last one in this round, and the same question for you. If you close your eyes and you hear the term humble, what came first to your mind, please?
Thank you very much, Michael, for having me. Hello, everybody, and it's wonderful to be back in your event, Michael. I was just answering a post on bully, and this is exactly the opposite as Sharito was also saying, that obviously the word humble is often associated with modesty, simplicity, and a lack of arrogance. I hate seeing arrogant people, and I've had to deal with them in my corporate career. Now, it basically describes a person who does not boast about their achievements as such, their wealth or abilities, but somebody who maintains a sense of humility. Humility is seen as a virtue in many cultures, often praised for bringing about genuine connections and bringing about a sense of empathy towards others. A humble person is typically open to learning from others. In other words, he's listening or quiet, and then he speaks. And when he speaks, his words carry connotations or meanings that make a difference to people's lives. So it acknowledges limitations of their own. You see, where people have limitations, where I have my limitations, I'll turn around and say, okay, well, that's all I can say on that. But the meaning of humility extends beyond merely being modest about one's own accomplishments. It can also imply a recognition of one's place in the broader context of life, society, or the universe as such. Humble individuals are not focused on self-importance, but seek to act with kindness and respect towards others, something that is lacking in quite a few people these days who are our world leaders, sadly. But then in some religious or spiritual traditions, humility is also viewed as a path to spiritual growth, where one's ego is set aside in pursuit of greater understanding. The word humble can also be used to describe objects, places, or things that are simple, unpretentious, or modest in appearance. Overall, the concept of being humble encourages a shift away from pride and towards a life that prioritizes gratitude, something that Margaret had just mentioned, self-awareness and respect for others. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ash. And I'm so happy that Michael reached us today as well. And Michael, the same first question for you. If you close your eyes and you hear the term humble, what came first to your mind, please? And I have, yes, we can, for a minute you was unmuted and just now, yes, we should hear you now.
Thank you very much, Michael, and everybody on the call. Greetings from Kampala, Uganda. When I close my eyes and I hear the word humble, what comes into my mind is politeness. Somebody who is ready to listen, politeness, and this is what is required in today's world. We have to be humble in order to coexist with everybody. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you very much, Michael. And I have to say, you know that I do not believe on coincidence. And today I have an unplanned meeting with a student, which was on my very first keynote, which I delivered on a university. And it is 10 years ago. And we spent here 4 hours talking, and he still remembers the words which I delivered, and he applied in his work. and he came here to work together. You know, it is fascinating to see a person to remember you, not because I came with a golden car or watch or pretend something what I'm not. I came there as a human. And it was so important. And Leslie, I would like to ask you, because you work for a long time, you give people, you share your knowledge, your experience, everything what is inside of you, what is in your heart. Have you ever considered yourself as a humble person, or is it something which you feel it must be this way without ranking to be humble or a different term be used?
Great question. Thank you, Michael. So I touched on it with the first thing I said that humility for me is an aspiration. Excuse me. When I became aware of pridefulness and the ego about 25, 30 years ago when I got into personal development, this, understanding these things. Once I recognized it in myself, being prideful or egocentric and the opposite of heart centered, over the years, I have simply aspired toward diplomacy and humility, that it isn't like you wake up or you actually arrive, right? I'm not sure we ever actually arrive at perfect humility because that's not how humans are, much more complex mind wise. So we never really reach one point. We're either growing or disintegrating. So, my work right now is very centered around virtues and values. And my recent book is filled with only virtues and values in a world where that is what everyone aspires to do, which kind of works perfectly with the the environment we're all living in. It's like, so, you know, virtues are have always been part of society because following them, and humility certainly being one of them, makes us feel good. And when we feel good, it's because of what we're thinking, and it's cellular. So we literally feel good all over, or we get chills. So if we focus on humility, right, for a week or something like that, and try to catch ourselves when we're either being ego-centered or heart-centered, if our feelings get hurt, if someone says something that upsets us, that's on us. That is not them. That is our fears, and it doesn't feel good. So we can outweigh those fears by intentionally practicing humility, which starts with recognizing that you're not being it in the moment. So I'll just leave it there. I hope that provides some value, and thank you for asking.
Thank you very much for that. And I would like to ask Charito. You mentioned that the humbleness, it's different. It can be different in a time of, let's call it, the scarcity or fear, and it's different in the times in which the peace is there and with everyone you can live. I do remember that you spoke once during the last 2 years. You spoke about your country and being run by the dictator, we can say, which was taken over, the situation changed, and so on. My question to you, to Philippines, is which kind of humbleness do you see today in your country? Is it the the positive one, if we call it so, or is it still the fear to express?
Wow. Can you hear me, Michael?
Yes,
Am I
yes, we
loud?
can
Yeah.
hear you. We can hear you.
Well, that is a very deep question. And in fact, because you are asking us the humility of a country
Yes.
with because you see, for me, individually, a person, humbleness or humility is a personal thing. No, one can be humble, the others may not be humble. You see, what I meant by humility or as a humble person here is a person who respects other people's individualities and rights. Oh, he knows where he stands, and he does not compete. You see, when a person is humble, and anywhere he stands or anywhere he is, he does not fight with others because he knows where he stands. He's humble enough to acknowledge that each one has a right of his own. So if you're going to look at the whole country as a humble country, that would be very, very, you know, intense in itself, because how could a country be humble when it speaks of humility on an individual level? So, but I would say that our country is not one to compete with. We know well enough where we stand. So we are not like we are the third world country, so they say. But now we're trying to go up, not because we wanted to compete with the rich countries, the US, the European ones. We stay, we try to stay at our own pace. And I think that's humility, if you'll consider that at it as one. But you see, it's how you look at humility and humbleness here, because it's a person thing. So you don't, you'd say a country is humble? No, I don't think so. It's rather the people there. But what the people in that country individually does not, speak for everybody about us. If you think about as a country, I find it hard to, to attach humility of one person, of one in one place, and having it together as a whole, just to show our humbleness throughout the world, because there are no humble countries. There are no, boastful countries. That is a character, and I believe, I follow Leslie and Dr. Ash here. In fact, when we say humble, Michael, in my own opinion, we don't attach it to we don't ask a country how humble it is. Do you get my point here?
Yes,
It would
yes,
be
and
very
it
hard
was
for me to
no,
connect
it
those
was
as a
very,
country
very well
of
expressed.
110 million as humble people to, to be seen outside our country, our world, out in other countries. So I have to think about it more, Michael. It's something that I wanted to dig deeper into. I hope you get my point here, because humility is one person to another. It's a quality. It's a state of being of a person that when he is with other people or by himself, he respects others. He does not put himself over and above everyone, because we people have the tendency to judge other people by our positions, by our financial status, by our intellectual prowess, intellectual achievement. But a humble person does not. Even if he knows he has that, all those three within him, he does not brag about it. He does not place himself over and above everybody. That's humbleness to me. That's humility to me. That's being humble. Go back to you, Michael.
Thank you very much. And you, Charito, express this very well. I'm not the only one who do understand exactly your points. So thank you for that. I know the question was hard, but my questions are almost every time hard. So, and you are the experienced one. Uh, Ted, what about humbleness and artists? Because there was a lot of people express that humbleness is not to show up, but an artist is creating to show up in some way. How do you think these two matches together?
I think we can, at times, I think we can separate the artist and the art. Right? The artist may well be humble, but his expression may not be. His expression might be quite bold, very assertive, might be making, you know, a big statement, may not be particularly sensitive, but the artist is. And I think so many artists want to demonstrate something, they want to be a stand for something, they want to express on the canvas or whatever art form they're using to give voice to something that's within them. So an artist of humble means can do that quite well. I mean, we've seen in history so many artists who were threadbare most of their lives and really only became famous long after their passing. So there's this, yes, I think there's a big difference between the artist and the art. I know with my own work, there are times when I'm very bold and assertive, and there are times when I'm very sensitive, and that I can use those two qualities to bring expression to a piece of art. So I think there's a curious mix between what's created and what's within the person. Yes, good question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mirjana, you know that I take you as the expert of technology. And my question again, maybe will be hard, but do you think a technology, AI, whatever, it doesn't matter whether we call it a robot or Excel or it doesn't matter. Do you think a technology can be humble?
Hard question. Yes, I think that technology can be humble, but it depends on how it is implemented, when it is done, through what channels, for which goals, you know. I always say current state is like revolution, you know, with bad and good sides. So yes, it can be big things in history were made with that point, but used with other intention on highest levels. So it depends. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tracy, you said at the beginning that you, for a long time, you did not use the term humble, but you changed the perspective. Does it change in relation to your overall life, or do you see a humbleness in it is changing, or the approach to it is changing in your work from the side of your clients and partners? Do you see any development in this stage, which was quite well described by Leslie? And you have to unmute yourself, Tracy. And maybe Tracy has a problem right now with talking. Margaret, I will ask you the same question. You know, your answer was very short, but at the same time, very powerful. You used just one word to describe. Do you think that we need right now more than one word to describe what the development should be or what we are?
Okay. You want more than one word you said besides gratitude?
It can be just one. It was very strong. So this is why, if you can extend it a little bit.
Okay. Well, I try to keep my feet on the ground, you know, because people will give you a lot of praise. They'll give you a lot of you know, their own gratitude. They'll partake into their own gratitude and say how grateful they are for what you do. And they'll, you know, send you beautiful things. They'll tell you beautiful words, and they mean them. You know, I believe that people mean what they're saying when they send me a bunch of DMs or text messages or whatever, and they're, you know, being grateful. But, you know, staying in gratitude, it keeps me humble because that could easily get to my head. You see, I worked with doctors, and because had years of working with doctors, I saw arrogance, and I saw how that can, you know, get to you. And with all respect, because they had everything to back it up, you know. Really, they did. The most arrogant doctor I worked for would be the one I would choose to do my surgery, actually, because I feel that with that arrogance is powerful as well. They do years of study. Have so much knowledge. They have, you know, just they just walk in that, you know, and so because they have so much, but yet they won't walk humbly, and I think they forget to be grateful, you know. But you know, I actually sat down with him and saw a different side of him, and just, you know, grateful that, you know, we had lunch together, just sitting down, and that's something he didn't do with anybody. But even though he was very arrogant, and when you talk to him, I would see my colleagues talk to him, it was almost like belittling you, you know, but he had high expectations. So, I don't know. I was still grateful even around him, you know, and people would say, he doesn't have a good bedside manner. He doesn't. And I would say, well, you know, in all honesty, he would be the one doing the work on me. So that kind of put it into perspective. So that's what I mean by gratitude, you know, and that's the difference between, that is the comparison that I can see, that I can give you, that was in reality and not just my words. But thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. And I'm happy that Shah reached us. And I have to tell you all, we have 6 minutes left. So Shah, you are listening for the last part. What is gratitude for you? Or what is humble? What means humble for you is the right question. And we lost Shah. Okay, so here's probably the connection issues. And I would like to ask you, Dr. Ash, because as I said, we have less than 6 minutes left. You have heard what the other says, and I have seen your reactions. How do you implement humbleness in your institute, in your work, in the education of the others who will come after us?
Yeah, very simply, Michael, frankly. I talk to my students all the time. And in fact, most of them turn around and say, sir, you're very humble. You know, you're very well mannered. And I reply that by saying that that's how my mother brought me up. And to be very short and simple, I just tell them that whether you're speaking or whether you're writing, you just have to put in 3 words: please, thank you, and sorry. It's so very easy. That is how humble we all can be. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much. And Tracy, I would like to come back to you because you do a lot of in writing and speaking with the others. Do you see any development in being humble, not on your side, but on the side of the others which are around you?
Thank you, Michael. I'm sorry for losing my unmute button earlier. I think throughout my career and personal development, I've seen when we were younger, we tend to be overgeneralized. Okay, what I observed so far, when people are younger, they tend to be more modest, not really necessarily humble, but because they don't have much to show off. But later on, to progress through career, education, and career, people start to build up this ego. There are two races, knowledge based and the emotional based. Both of them are growing substantially. So the more a person achieves, the more arrogant that person tends to be. But when they hit, generally speaking, somewhere around 38 to 45, there's a return, the pattern of return. They start to remind themselves of their early teachings, especially in my East Asian culture, when we were taught humility leads people to progress, but pride makes us fall behind. And this word just came back to me not too long ago, and I realized we need to start every single day afresh without thinking about what I or we have achieved. Always open mind and eyes to learn something new. Thank you, Michael.
Tracy, I would like to keep you on the mic because usually you end up or you say a Chinese proverb. And I think today is the right time to say it here if you have the right one.
What I said earlier, humility leads people to progress. Pride makes us fall behind is one of the teachings I learned. I think in elementary school level, everybody was taught this way to behave modestly. Actually, modesty and humility are same meaning in Chinese culture. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much. And you know what? I'm happy. In between us here is probably only one who is younger than the age which you mentioned, Tracy, and this is Usi. And he showed already in his very young age the ability to learn what we need to learn in our older age. And I do believe that even this recording, which I did not forget to record like the last one, will help the others to understand what we mean and what means the term humble in our life. And it should be in our vocabulary, but more important, it should be part of our life, of the way how we live. We do not shame for us. We do not sell us, but we can show the others what we mean by acting and being what we say. And I hope, because we have less than 1 minute, I wish you all have a nice time, free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, and be humble, and be proud at the same time of all what you have achieved. And I hope to see you next week again at the same time, talking another term which will change our life. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Michael.
Bye. Have a good day.
Have a great
Bye.
day.
Thank you, Michael.
You
Bye,
too.
God bless
everyone.
everyone.
God
Bye-bye.
bless you all.